On the night of October 13, 2024, Russia started its aggressive campaign by attacking numerous military targets in Ukraine with bombs and missiles. This time, the strikes were directed at military installations that were strategically important in areas like Sumy, Donetsk, Kherson, Dnipro, Petrovsk, and Odessa. Many observers have expressed concern about the precision and ferocity of these attacks, which are perceived as a potential escalation of the existing conflict with potential global ramifications beyond the Russo-Ukrainian war. It should be emphasized that the attack on Odessa could potentially go down in history as a turning point in the current dispute. Experts warn that this escalation not only changes the dynamics of the war, but also has the potential to destabilize international peace and spark a broader conflict, possibly even World War III. The reason for this lies not only in the destruction of military targets, but also in the collateral damage caused by the extremely powerful explosion in Odessa. This explosion was so powerful that its negative impact was not only limited to Ukrainian citizens, but also spread to neighboring NATO countries. Odessa, a city of historical and strategic importance, has often been the target of Russian attacks during this war. But the attack on the night of October 13th was different from previous bombings. The explosions that occurred in the port and surrounding military installations were so powerful that international monitoring services raised the alarm. The consequences of these explosions began to affect neighboring countries, putting NATO countries on high alert. The situation became particularly explosive when reports emerged of a radioactive cloud moving towards Romania following an exceptionally strong explosion in Odessa. However, before we delve into the details of the attack on Odessa, it is important to understand the military context. Events on the front in the Kursk region, north of Ukraine, played a crucial role in the escalation of fighting. General Abte Alaudinov, commander of Special Forces Ahmad, recently made an official statement highlighting the rapid withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from this region. According to his reports, Russian forces have liberated 19 settlements in the Kursk region in the last 2 months. These significant successes have shifted the balance of power in this region sharply in Russia's favor. Alaudinov described the situation of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region as catastrophic. In the Koronevsky district in particular, the Ukrainian army shed almost all of its blood. This is a stark metaphor for the enormous losses suffered by Ukrainian troops in this region. Russian forces have gained the upper hand, and the Ukrainian army is struggling to hold its positions despite being severely decimated in many areas. Another crucial area of the front, the nearby Swansky district, has seen significant casualties in both soldiers and equipment for the Ukrainian military. 320 Ukrainian soldiers and 15 pieces of heavy equipment, including 2 German Leopard tanks, were lost in the past 24 hours, according to General Alaudinov. The Leopard tanks are regarded as a crucial component of Western assistance for Ukraine. Thus, these losses are not merely symbolic. They also seriously impair the Ukrainian army's ability to defend itself. Since August 6th, the total losses of the Ukrainian army in the Kursk direction amount to around 23,000 soldiers. These figures are shocking and highlight the bloody toll that the conflict has taken in this region. In addition to personnel losses, the Ukrainian army also lost a significant part of its military equipment, including 158 tanks, 100 armored personnel carriers, 73 infantry fighting vehicles, 910 armored fighting vehicles, and 650 pickup trucks. The destruction of these vehicles makes it more difficult for Ukrainian forces to move around the battlefield and fight effectively. Additionally, Russian forces have used 50 rocket launchers and 190 pieces of artillery to further erode Ukrainian defenses in the Kursk area. The goal of these massive rocket and artillery assaults is to cut off the Ukrainian troops' supply lines in addition to driving them back. The difficulty facing the Ukrainian military is nearly insurmountable in the absence of adequate supplies and reinforcements. It is important to note that the catastrophic situation of the Ukrainian army in the Kursk region is reported not only by Russian military officials, but is also confirmed by Western analysis centers and even Ukrainian telegram channels. These confirmations suggest that the situation for Ukraine is indeed precarious. According to these sources, despite the serious situation, the Ukrainian High Command did not issue an order to withdraw troops from the Kursk region. This is a clear sign that the Ukrainian leadership is determined to maintain its positions in this region, even if it means further losses. Against this background, the Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, General Alexander Syrsky, continued the reinforcement of Ukrainian army units in the Kursk region. In recent days, several Ukrainian units have been withdrawn from the Kharkiv and Zaporizhia regions to form new reserves for deployment in Kursk. However, these troop movements are not without risk as they weaken the defenses of other sectors of the front. Ukrainian war correspondents reported that the intensity of the Russian offensives in the Zaporizhia direction had increased significantly in the last 24 hours. As a result, Russian forces managed to take control of the strategically important settlement of Livodnoye in the Zaporizhia region. This represents a significant success for the Russian army, as Livodnoye is considered a hub for the supply lines of Ukrainian troops. With control of Livodnoye, the Russians can further disrupt Ukrainian supply routes and weaken Ukraine's defenses in this region. On October 13th, both sides reported that fighters from the Russian Center Group had taken control of the Ostrovsky settlement in the Korokovo direction. This is also an important strategic success for Russia, as control of Ostrovsky gives Russian forces a better starting position for future operations in this region. These continued successes on various fronts indicate that Russia is committed to achieving its military objectives in Ukraine, even if it means a longer and bloodier confrontation. Insiders in Kiev have since acknowledged that the Ukrainian General Staff recognizes the potential for the front to collapse in the coming weeks. The Ukrainian army does not have enough forces and resources to hold the entire front line. Nevertheless, the Kiev regime insists that Ukrainian units in the Kursk region must remain at all costs. This decision may be driven by the belief that the presence of Ukrainian soldiers on Russian territory could have a psychological impact on the Ukrainian population and the international community. The leadership in Kiev hopes that the illusion that the Ukrainian army is still capable of controlling Russian territory will maintain Western support for Ukraine. However, it is clear that the Ukrainian army's continued losses could weaken not only its military, but also its political position. Pressure is growing on the Ukrainian government to find a solution to the conflict. At the same time, Russian forces continue their offensive, and on the night of October 13th, there was another wave of rocket and bomb attacks on military facilities in Sumy, Donetsk, Kherson, Dnipro, Petrovsk, and Odessa. In total, around 15 powerful explosions were recorded in these areas, illustrating the devastating impact of the Russian attacks. It is known that Iskander M surface-to-surface missiles, as well as guided bombs of the ODB and FAB families, were used in this attack. These weapon systems are designed to destroy strategically important military targets and further weaken Ukraine's defense capabilities. In the Sumy region, dozens of FAB-guided bombs fell on Ukrainian positions, disrupting the supply lines of Ukrainian units in the region.